ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Verse 29. संसारासक्तचित्तः सन् चिदाभासः कदाचन स्वयं प्रकाशकूटस्थं स्वतत्त्वं नैव वेत्ययम्. So Vidyaranya is giving a brief commentary on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra 4.4.12, which he introduced in the first two verses. First verse, of course, quotes, and the second verse also is an introduction for that. And the commentary on that mantra begins from verse number 3 up to verse number 28, which we completed last week, the last class. And he explained that elaborate explanation in this verses is on the first line of a mantra, basically. Then and that the gist is a person should get a aparoksha jnanam of this Atma, which is the real nature of oneself. So Purushaha Atmanam Vijaniyat. And so Vidyaranya defined the word Atma as a Kutastha Chaitanya, which is permanently and ever experienced. That's what he said. Kutastha Chaitanya means Nitya Aparoksha Vastu, which means Atma is ever experienced directly by everyone. Ever experienced. So no one can miss. Ever, because if you experience directly, that is fine. But if you don't experience ever, you may miss also. But no, you are ever experiencing and directly experiencing. Well, and therefore, then when this statement was made that Kutastha, the Atma is ever experienced, directly experienced, Nitya Aparoksha Vastu, Nitya, permanently or ever, and Aparoksha, directly experienced, then the question definitely is raised that if Atma is ever experienced, directly experienced, means Atma is ever known. And then there is no question of a Ajnanam of a Kutastha. If Ajnanam is not possible, then how can you talk about Atmanam Vijaniyat? This Kutastha Atma should be known. Why Brihadaranyaka Upanishad should tell like this? Because it is Atma is ever experienced, directly experienced. There is no Jnanam of Kutastha or Atma is possible, and therefore there is no Jnanam also is possible for that. If Jnanam is not possible, how can you talk about Jnana? So that is the first doubt raised by the Purvapaksha. And then, then the second doubt was, if Atma is, ever experienced, directly experienced, and that is how even Brihadaranyaka Upanishad quote in a Ushastha Brahmanam, Yas Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, that is very popular statement. Yah Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma, which is directly experienced, Ya Atma Sarvantaraha, etc., etc. So Atma is said to be directly experienced, directly known. Then if it is Atma is directly known, means you have a aparoksha jnanam of a Atma, Where is the question of now Paroksha Jnanam? And therefore, we should not talk about indirect knowledge of Atma. Paroksha Jnanam of Atma is not possible because Atma is aparoksha, directly and ever experienced, means you know Atma directly. So where is the question of indirect knowledge of a Atma, Kutastha? So if indirect knowledge is not possible, you should not say even aparoksha jnanam also. So you should not talk about this aparoksha jnanam. That's a wrong word. Because paroksha jnanam is there, then you can say aparoksha jnanam to distinguish from paroksha jnanam. Always adjective when you use, you want to distinguish. Like we all are there, and one of the person, well, if I say that you say a few words about this person, and then he will say something which is very distinguishing characteristic of the person, naturally, from all of us. So definitely, when you use an adjective, you always want to distinguish. And therefore, if Atma is ever experienced, directly experienced, means Atma is ever directly known. So, well, that is aparoksha jnanam. And therefore, paroksha jnanam is not possible. If paroksha jnanam is not possible, you should not say aparoksha jnanam also. You should not say like that. So, paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam, etc. also irrelevant thing. So, first line of a mantra is totally irrelevant. Atmanam vijaniyat. Atma should be known. So, Atma jnanam, kutastha jnanam. Well, that we should not talk because Atma jnanam is not there. And therefore, Atma jnanam also you should not talk. And that too, that Atma is kutastha, nitya kutastha vastu. And therefore, aparoksha, it is all aparoksha vastu. And therefore, definitely, you should not talk about paroksha jnanam also. So, first line of the mantra of this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is totally irrelevant. Then, well, Vidyaranya thought this is a very serious issue. And so, he sought to clarify through the 10th man story. Then he told also 10th man, well, happens to be directly experienced all the time. Even if he is experiencing directly and ever, permanently he is experiencing a 10th man, still he has ignorance of the 10th man. So like Dashama Ajnanam is there, same way Atma Ajnanam is also possible. Well, similarly, and therefore Dashama Jnanam and Atma Jnanam both are possible. And then with the same story, 10th man story, the second doubt also was resolved. That Dashama Jnanam also he gains in 2 stages. The 10th man gains the knowledge of a 10th man in 2 stages. Very beautiful, very beautiful. How we find clarity other than this place, anywhere else. Anyway, so Dashama Jnanam also will be in 2 stages. So person comes and, the person, that sadhu come, or some sage or sannyasi comes and tells, well, Dashamaha asti. And therefore there is a 10th man. Immediately he doesn't tell you are 10th. He comes and tells Dashamaha asti. And then he says, well, first you eat. Because you have started from your homes in the morning, cross the river and you must be very hungry. And after crossing immediately you have counted and all this. And in this grief you all are hungry. First eat. And so they all, and then I will tell you that yes, where is the 10th man? And so Dashamaha asti is called avantarvakyam. There are 2 types of statement in the Upanishad. And one is avantarvakyam, which this is what we say, paroksha jnanam. Avantarvakyam gives paroksha jnanam. And Mahavakya gives aparoksha jnanam. So, well, adresham, agrahem, achakshushotram, tadapaanipadam, nityam, vibhum, etc., etc. So, well, that is very avantarvakya. Or nanta pragnam, na bahish pragnam, na ubhayata pragnam, no pragnam, na pragnam, etc. Well, can be taken as a paroksha. No, Swamiji, if you little think more, it leads to jiva. Whole this thing applies to jiva. I understand that. But if for the sake of making a difference, let's say this is avantarvakya, in which directly, explicitly, if it is not told that you are this, we will take it as avantarvakya. Tasmadva etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhutah. Well, this Brahman is shown as a Jagat Karanam, avantarvakya. Naturally. But that Brahman which is Jagat Karanam, that is you, Janmadhyasya yatah. Well, that is fine. Then that is, so, Janmadhyasya yatah, Brahma Sutra also, yatah yasmat karanat janmadi. Srushtehe Janma, etc. This creation, Jagatah Janma. So the Janma, etc. of this Jagat is possible through this, from this Brahman. Well, that is Avantar Vakya. That Brahman is me. Explicitly, if it is told, it is Mahavakya. That's how we have to take it. So anyway, so first sannyasi consoled that 10th man. That 10th man is there. And then, and then later on, after they took the food, well, he told that you are 10th man. Anyway, so the 10th man is there. So there is a 10th man, that is a Paroksha Jnanam. And then when he was told directly that you are 10th man, well, that is the Aparoksha Jnanam. So so this 10th man got a indirect knowledge. The 10th man, which is ever and directly experience himself as a 10th, still he says, yeah, there is a 10th man. Could you follow? So, so therefore, that is the 10th man is directly available. So he should say, I am 10th, but he doesn't say. He says now, because the sannyasi told him there is a 10th man, he gains a knowledge of a 10th man indirectly. So how can a Aparoksha Brahman, how can this Aparoksha Brahman, one can, how a Jiva gains a Paroksha Jnanam of a Aparoksha Vastu. Aparoksha is directly and ever experience. Then the knowledge will be always Aparoksha. How can you say it is Paroksha Jnanam? This is how it is. The 10th man, which is Aparoksha, the 10th man, which is Aparoksha, ever experienced, directly experienced, says there is a 10th man. So that's there. So, by the way, I would like to clarify one point here. Pujya Swamiji was not accepting this Paroksha Jnanam, because Jnanam means of the nature of a Vastu only. Vastu Aparoksham, then he should be Aparoksham. But then here, when we ask about Paroksha Jnanam, etc., he used to call it as a Shraddha. Yeah, there is a 10th man, means that is a Shraddha of a 10th man. At least because it's Apta Vakya. So from that person who is elderly person or a sannyasi, etc., told that yes, there is a 10th man, you eat first. And they have a Shraddha. So please, because you may, this we are going to discuss very elaborately, this Paroksha Jnanam, frankly speaking. And Pujya Swamiji was not agreeing. So it may create a confusion. I think you might have heard also. I should not say that as if I am telling you new information. No, you might have heard also. But he used to say it is a Shraddha. And we can accept it that way, whether Paroksha Jnanam or Shraddha. But it is possible. That is possible. Even though Vastu is immediate, ever experienced, directly experienced, yet one is not able to tell there immediately that, yes, I am a 10th man. So, that this kind of a stage is there. We have to accept it. Anyway, and so this through Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, etc., means you are 10th man, etc., he gains a Aparoksha Jnanam also. So just as in a case of a 10th man, both are possible, Paroksha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam possible. Same way for in the case of a Kutastha Atma also, well, both are possible. So, and once the 10th man gains knowledge, then what is the consequence? Naroditi, nahrushyati, naroditi, hrishyati eva. So he doesn't cry, hrishyati eva, he jumps with a joy. So, like the phalam, after gaining a knowledge through Mahavakya, you are a 10th man, the result will be joy, naturally. That is moksha. So anyway, through study of this 10th man example, well, all the 7 stages have been, Vidyaranya has narrated. So he divides the whole journey of a 10th man who reaches to the 10th man and gains joy into 7 stages, and which we saw also. And then verse 28, if you see, all 7 steps pertaining to the 10th man have been listed here, which we have already seen. Ajnana avrittihi vikshepa dvivida jnana truptayah shokapagamaha ityete yojaniyaha chidatmani. So ajnanam means ignorance of the 10th man. Avrittihi, concealment or veiling, or let's say here expressed as ignorance. Expressed ignorance, we can say. I don't know 10th man, he says. So, or he doesn't exist, etc. So that is avrutti. And the third is a, not avruttihi, but it is avruttihi. Not double ta, it is avruttihi. Avruttihi is a repetition. Avruttihi means a concealing, etc. Or in our case, expressed ignorance. Third is a vikshepa, false projection, etc. The 10th man has died and so, etc. etc. And then fourth and fifth, dvivida jnanam. Paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam. So 5 steps are over. Sixth is, he says, trupti, contentment, happiness. And seventh, shokapagamaha, well, he has a freedom from grief now. Iti ete, well, these are the 7 stages. Yojaniyaha, these 7 steps have to be extended to Chidatmani, to Chidatma Vishaya also, for individual also. So with this verse 28, a brief commentary on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra, the first line of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra, first line, have been commented upon. And well, the second line have not been, well, definitely not elaborately explained. That is going to come later. And but then our stage number 6 and 7 are talking about the second line of a Brihadaranyaka mantra only. That truptihi and shoka apagamaha, the removal of a sorrow, etc. Well, that is the second line of a, that's an explanation. Stage 6 and stage 7 are the explanation of the second line of a Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra. And well, with this, well, now from verse number 29 to 47 now, it's an analysis of a, now this, 7 steps with respect to the aham, the atma. So first step is ajnanam, right, here also. So what is ajnanam? So here it says, samsarasakta chittah san chidabhasa kadachana swayam prakasha kutastham swatattvam na eva vetti ayam, etc. So, well, chidabhasa, we have to start with that. Chidabhasa, which is of course backed by this Chaitanyam, which is always a mixture. Chidabhasa pradhana jivaha, he is very much busy. Where? Samsara asakta chitta. So his mind is totally absorbed in the samsara. His mind is totally extrovert. And so, swatattvam naiva vetti, well, this chidabhasa, this mixture basically, but chidabhasa pradhana chaitanya, well, definitely this jiva doesn't know his real nature, that I am chaitanyam, I am chit, etc., that he doesn't know. So, swatattvam, one's own swarupa, one's own nature. And that is swayam prakasha kutastham, swatattvam swayam prakasha kutastham. If you see in the second line, this is there. Swayam prakasha kutastham swatattvam. That one's own nature is none other than swayam prakasha kutastham, self-effulgent consciousness, self-effulgent kutastha. Changeless consciousness. Kutastha means changeless. Well, he doesn't know. Why? Because his mind is extrovert, like our 10th man. His mind was there in that counting 9. He doesn't get an idea that just by exclusion he is the 10th now. All the 9 have been counted and I am also there. So I am 10th. But no, his mind was there. In that, his mind was extrovert. Same way here also, samsara asakta chitta. His mind is absorbed in the samsara due to ragadvesha, etc. So he doesn't, I am chidabhasaha naiva vetti. Well, this jiva does not know that I am kutastha. And he does not make this statement also even by mistake. Na kadachana. Even so, he does not make statement that I am kutastha. Even by mistake, he does not make a statement. Means he doesn't know that he is a kutastha. So he does not have time to think, etc., etc. This condition is called the first step, ajnana. And this here, samsara asakta chitta san, we have to divide because samsh chidabhasa. It's actually a sandhi. San plus chidabhasa becomes samsh chidabhasa. And so that we should samsh chidabhasa. Samsh chidabhasa, that is the sandhi. Like, pranans tyaktva dhanani cha in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter. Pranans tyaktva. It is nothing but pranan tyaktva. Having given up the prana, having given up this prana, etc. They have come here, means they are sure that they are going to die, etc. Anyway, so pranam tyaktva Bhagavan, there it is the sandhi, it is there in Bhagavad Gita. Pranam tyaktva. Same way, samschidabhasa. San plus chidabhasa. Pranam plus tyaktva, pranam tyaktva. San plus chidabhasa, samschidabhasa, etc. Anyway, this is that particular word I thought I should explain you. Anyway, samsara chikta, so and then sun goes with the samsara asakta chitta. But Swamiji, what is meaning of sun? Being. So samsara asakta chitta sun. These are the all adverbial usage of participles. Very beautiful. So samsara asakta chitta sun, being absorbed in this worldly pleasures, etc., etc. Well, he doesn't have a time to think that I am kutastha. Anyway, so ajnanam, first step has been explained in verse number 29. Now let's go to verse number 30. Nabhati nasti kutastha iti vakti prasangatah karta bhokta ahamasmiti vikshepam pratipadyate. So this busy samsari, this person ajnani, who has no time for kutastha, who has no time for knowing kutastha, etc. Prasangatah, well, some occasion has arisen when some Mahatma comes, or he is going somewhere, on the airport he has a lot of time, and then he goes to one bookstore and he finds a book on Vayamai, etc. So this is how apatagnyam, right? But basically, he is exposed briefly of this Kutastha Chaitanyam, somebody talks about it. And he heard this Adreshyam, Agrahim, etc., etc. There is something called Kutastha, which is Adhishthanam of the Jagat, which is a Karanam of the Jagat, etc., through Maya and all such kind of a thing. He listens. Well, what is his response? And then because that person may be saying, well, or the book may be saying, such a Jagat Karanam Brahma is the Atma, is the nature of I. And what is this person's response, this Ajnani's response? Na bhati. I don't experience such a kutastha as they say it is a directly experience and ever experience. I don't experience such a kutastha. I am not this Atma. I am a very limited being. How can this person say you are a Jagat Karanam Brahman? You are the cause of everything. I am cause of all the trouble. That's how family also has a... Now, they have got a relief when I am going out now. So, they have got a relief now. I am cause of many problems. I am cause of the Jagat that is not correct. I mean, how come this book says like this? How come this Mahatma says like this? Na bhati nasti. I don't experience. Na bhati means I don't experience this kutastha at any time. They say directly experience, etc. Nasti, therefore there is no such thing called Kutastha Chaitanya. It's all bluff. Nirguna Brahma is not experienced at all. Iti prasangataha vakti. Well, some occasion arises, or he reads, or etc., or he listens, then he loudly proclaims on this context. Prasangataha means on this context. That, he says, there is no Kutastha, or I am not Kutastha. I don't know about anything. What is this Kutastha? And he says, you are Kutastha. So this is a expressed ignorance now about Kutastha. So this is called a avritti, avarana. And now Vikshepa has been shown in the second line. Karta bhokta ahamasmi iti vikshepam pratipadyate. That's the third stage. And he says aham karta bhokta asmi. And instead, because Kutastha is a karta bhokta. So he says, reverse. I am karta, I am bhokta. So this self-misconception. Vikshepa means self-misconception. Adhyasa. That's all. Vikshepa is equal to adhyasa. Simple. Just because many words are there, then you may find this so much, it's a big jargon also. Vikshepa is adhyasa. That's all. Which is born of ignorance, naturally. Ajnanam plus avaranam, you can say. So you express that you don't know Kutastha, that is one thing. But you take yourself to be what you are really not. That is a Vikshepa. That's created. A misconception about you is created from non-recognition of yourself. That's due to ignorance, self-ignorance. Self-ignorance, and then you say the non-recognition of the self, and then misconception of the self. Three steps. This misconception, vikshepa, is called adhyasa. Pratipadyate. That's a projection. This is a projection. So this is how he says that. Vikshepam pratipadyate means he projects this misconception. I am karta, I am bhokta, which is not the case. I am a karta, a bhokta all the time, right? What is ever experienced, consciousness is all the time a karta, a bhokta. But he doesn't recognize it, and well, due to ignorance. And so, and from this ignorance or non-recognition is created. What is created out of ignorance is adhyasa. So vikshepa we call. Okay, so now three steps are over. Ajnanam, avrutihi, and vikshepa. Verse 31 indicates now further. Asti kutastha ityadau paroksham vetti vartaya paschat kutastha evasmi ityevam vetti vicharatah. So now he talks about the fourth stage. So well, because of some punyam, he gets interest in a Veda, and if it is a more punyam, well, he gets interest in a Vedanta also, and that Vedanta talks about Kutastha Brahman. Upanishad says, well, Kutastha Brahma asti. So that is Avantar Vakyam. So Vartaya, here it is word Vartaya he has used. Vartaya means Avantar Vakya. So Vartaya Paroksham Vetti. Well, Asti Kutastha ityadau Paroksham Vetti Vartaya. Vartaya means through the Varta means three. Varta has, I mean, in a common language, Varta means a news. But here Vartaya means Avantar Vakya. By this, with the help of this Kutastha definition available in the Upanishad, this Jiva knows of a Vastu indirectly, a paroksham vetti. So here paroksham is a adverb, by the way, and because it enhances the meaning of the verb vetti. Vetti means knows. Knows means how does he know? Indirectly knows. So paroksham means indirectly. So paroksham is equal to parokshataya vetti, adverb. So parokshataya vetti, he knows indirectly. Adverbs are not declinable. They are all avyayas. They don't decline. So adjectives will always vary depending upon substantive. If substantive is in first case, well, adjective will be in first case. If substantive is masculine, adjective will be masculine. Adjective always mold itself depending upon the substantive. So it declines also. Like substantive means nouns, they decline. But this is a adverb. No, it's not an adjective, it's adverb. So it enhances, it adds to the verb some meaning. And therefore, here paroksham vetti, that paroksham is adverb, knows indirectly. So he says, I have got a Shraddha, because he has some punyam, because of that he has a Shraddha in the Veda as such and in the Vedanta. And therefore, what Vedanta says that there is a Kutastha which is Jagat Karanam, etc., etc. He says, yeah, Kutastha Brahmasti. So this is called Paroksha Jnana. He is not able to conceive as such this Kutastha, because even when it is been told that there is a Kutastha which is Jagat Karanam, etc., because Kutastha being what it is, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Nityam, Gandhavat, and therefore he doesn't have a Shabda, therefore his senses could not, grasp directly Kutastha like that, because no form, no smell, no taste, no touch, right? No sound. So, well, he may feel it may not be there because of sheer faith in the Veda, he accepts it. Since Veda says it must be there. So, Kutastha Chaitanya Asti is a Paroksha Jnana. Veda Pramana is a proof for that. Like, in a Kathopanishad, very beautifully told by this Yamaraja. See, he says, Astityevopalabdhavyaha tattvabhavena chobhayoho astityevopalabdhasya tattvabhava prasidati. asti iti eva upalabdhavyah. Atma is, Kutastha is. One should first accept that. One should know that there is a Kutastha. Paroksha Jnana. Asti iti eva upalabdhavyah tattva bhavena cha. And also one should know that Kutastha, that Atma, as tattva bhava, as one's own truth. Ubhayoho. So one should gain both the types of knowledge. First one should accept that yes, there is a Kutastha because of Shraddha in the Vedanta. Because it describes through Avantar Vakya. So then he accepts. And then that is not enough. Tattva bhavena cha. One he should know, also know as a tattva bhava. Tattva bhava means one's own nature, one's own truth. Tattva means a truth basically, essence. It should be known as one's own nature also. So, and then out of these two, asti iti eva upalabdasya tattva bhava prasidati. Asti iti eva upalabdasya. Well, one who gains this paroksha jnanam, that yes, there is a kutastha, asti, atma asti, kutastha asti, iti eva upalabdasya. One who gains this, upalabdhi means jnanam. One who gains this knowledge, such a person, well, who has this paroksha jnanam, then tattva bhava prasidati. Well, then definitely that tattva bhava, that Brahman, well, definitely, favors. Ishvara gives a grace, that you gain this knowledge, that you are 10th man. So, aparoksha, you are Brahman. That's it. So, that is how both these types of knowledges are there. And therefore, one gains immediately, one person gains a paroksha jnana. Anyway, so, paroksha jnana is stage 4. And the 5th stage is been described in the second line of verse 31. What it says, Pashat Kutastha eva asmi. Pashat. After that, after gaining paroksha jnanam that there is a Kutastha, well, etc. And that Kutastha eva asmi. That Kutastha is myself. Iti evam vetti. One knows it as a paroksha vastu. Iti vicharatah. Vicharatah means by inquiry. Vicharatah means by vichara. That is by Mahavakya Vichara. So, definitely by inquiring into Mahavakya, he comes to know that Kutastha eva ahamasmi. That's changeless entity. The Atma alone is a changeless entity. There is nothing is permanent except Atma, who is a witness of all the changes. That consciousness alone is Kutastha. That's better. Kutastha we are saying. What is Kutastha? Kutastha means basically changeless. Atma alone is changeless, which witnesses all the changes, which takes a note of all the changes. Even Srishti, Sthiti, Layam, etc., everything. We can talk about Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, etc. because Shastra talks about it, but then Shastra also talks about it ultimately because consciousness is a adhishthanam of everything. And during our life, we notice all kinds of changes. Either a change in the body, change in the senses, change in the mind. All changes. Our outside world, we take note of all the changes. One who notes all changes, takes a note of all the changes, must be changeless. Otherwise, with a change, it also gets changed. Then who will be there to talk about these changes? Therefore, the one who takes note of all the changes of the past, present, etc., well, definitely must be changeless. And therefore, balyadishu jagradadishu tatha sarvasu avasthasvapi vyavruttasu, it goes. Vyavrutta means one comes, other goes, and then that comes, previous step goes, etc. Vyavruttasu aham anuvartamana. So therefore, that is all the time. Anuvritti is there. That's Kutastha. And therefore, I am changeless entity. Well, this is, and so I'm conceiver of all the changes. A conceiver cannot be the conceived, and better I don't conceive. That's better. Therefore, evam vicharatah you can take it as a evam vicharena, with the help of vichara, with the help of Mahavakya Vichara. Well, he gains aparoksha jnana. Kutastha eva ahamasmi. Okay. So, we have completed 5 steps. Now, in verse 32, he talks about 2 more steps. Karta कर्ता भोक्त्येवमादि कर्ता भोक्त्येवमादि शोकजातं प्रमुञ्चति कृतं कृत्यं प्रापणीयं प्राप्तमित्येव तुष्यति. Shokajatam pramunchati. All types of worries he gives up. All kinds of worries. Shokam means chinta. Chinta means here not contemplation or deliberation. This is chinta here, worry. Of course, so shokajatam pramunchati. Well, he gives up all types of worry. And jatam is basically a samuha. Shokajatam. A group of these sorrows, group of worries, group of any group of, all the characteristic of samsara. So jatam means a samuha, group, and jataha, jata, etc. That these are participles. Like Devadattaha jataha. Devadatta is born, and then Lakshmi jata. The Lakshmi is born, but then Lakshmi is a Strilinga. So jata, Devadatta Pullinga, jataha. So that jataha, jata, these are adjectives. So that goes along with the substantive, masculine, neuter, then it will also change. But jatam is by default neuter word and means group. Jatam means samuha. In Sanskritam, we can call samuha, ganaha, that called jatam. And that is the other one participle is, it has its own, not own its own linga. Depending upon substantive, it changes. Jatam, jata, jataha, jata, etc. And there that is made up of a ja dhatu, janja, fourth conjugation, to be born. So jataha, which is born. Jata, which is born, etc. Depending upon the lingam. Anyway, so munchati, he gives up totally. So all shokajatam, he gives up all the worries. So karta bhokta ityevamadi shokajatam. See? Hey? So this, what is shoka? To tell I am karta, I am bhokta, but that's all. You will get a all bundle of sorrows. Never claim that I am a karta, I am bhokta. Even though all mistakes are done, but never claim that I have done any mistake. Why? Because it's not true. It's not true. Mistakes are done, but I have not done anything. So that's a fantastic thing. Don't say anybody, but in your mind, be relaxed. I have not done anything. Atma cannot do anything. Therefore, basically, that's a burden actually. That burden, one should not carry the burden. Life is meant to enjoy, to be light or something. They use for travelers to be light. That's why we should be always light. Nothing is to be taken. Nothing. Even if you take I am and then further is a burden. That's it. I am. Bas. After I am, just raise your hands. Really. Because I am a human being. Burden. Because this is 70 kg weight, why should I carry it? Why should I carry? So basically nothing belongs to me. No single emotion belongs to me. That's a reality. There's no connection at all because there is nothing else to connect to. People feel that what is experience has its own existence. But the mithya is what is experience has no self-existence. That's mithya. What is experience ever and which is self-existent is satyam. But what is experience and yet there is no substantial existence, that is mithya. And therefore, why should I carry? Be light. That's all. In your mind. In Vyavahara, it is not considered as etiquette. Even if you do a mistake and you won't say sorry. Because then somebody asks you, why are you not telling me sorry? Well, because I have not committed anything. Don't say that. Don't say. Tell sorry also. It's a role playing. Just say sorry. But in your mind, you are free from any guilt. It's so beautiful. Karta bhokta ittevam adi. Karta bhokta pramata. We have to add that also. These are the main things. Chidabhasa has the attributes of this. Kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam and pramatram. If Chidabhasa or Ahankara is real, but tell me what is Chidabhasa and Ahankara? Make a difference. I don't make a difference in as much as Chidabhasa cannot be separate from Ahamvritti. Because what is in the medium, the reflection cannot be separated. And therefore, why should we worry about? Aham vritti plus Chidabhasa is Ahankara. And therefore, basically, these attributes, Ahankara, if Ahankara is real, attributes are real. If Ahankara is at the level of experience but there is no existence of its own, then it is a mithya entity. And therefore, the attributes of that Ahankara, mithya Ahankara, also are mithya. And that is Karta, Bhokta, Pramata. Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutvam, Pramatrutvam. So, Karta is a very major, burden rather. And so, all our duties are based on basically Kartrutvam. And second burden is, well, this Bhoktrutvam, etc. Once you have completed the duties, and like you have done a marriage of a son or daughter, etc., and then all kinds of experiences takes place, right? Like Jamata Dashamo Graha. There are 9 grahas, and each one is contributing in my pain. And this Jamata, this son-in-law, is another graha. Dashamo Graha, 10th graha, 10th planet, which is all the time. Shani basically does something and goes away after 7.5 years. And then, but this whole life, why did I actually say yes for my daughter, such a person, yes, and she got married to this person. So as an experiencer, bhokta, all the time pain. Anyway, but how can you say? That may be the reality. Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutam is a reality of yourself. You cannot say like that. There are billions of people who are born, they all say that I am experiencer, I am a doer, everything. I am a knower. In you people, few people somewhere sitting in Pennsylvania and say you are not Karta Bhokta. You become free from Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutam. So what? I mean, that's not your nature. And not that. We go for one step further. Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutam is a burden. You become free from that burden in deep sleep state. That's how you have a joy for 8 hours. During waking state, you do not have a joy. Even though I crack a joke, you don't laugh. Therefore, that bundle is all the time there. You become free. So, in absence of all this Kartrutvam, Pramatrutvam, Bhoktrutvam, etc., well, you exist. Therefore, you are basically free. And this Kartrutvam, etc. is a bundle. That's the second thing. Kartrutvam, etc. is a burden also. Well, and you are relieved from that burden in deep sleep state, and then you are happy. And therefore, Kartrutvam adi, etc., Karta Bhokta, etc., Shokajatam Pramunchati. He becomes free. Thank God. Krutyam Krutam. Why? Because whatever is to be accomplished, he has accomplished. Well, Prapaniyam Praptam. See, that is from the standpoint of a sadhanam. Right? From the standpoint of a means. Krityam Krutam, whatever the means have to be employed, I have employed. Prapaniyam Praptam, from the standpoint of sadhyam. Because whatever I have to be attained in my life, sadhyam, and I have attained, and therefore, well, I am free from sadhanam and I am free from sadhyam. Therefore, I am not sadhaka also. Sadhaka has a sadhanam and a sadhaka has a sadhya. Therefore, I am not a sadhakam at all. That is my nature. I am Siddha. So everyone should say, I am Siddha Purusha. Everyone should say, I am Siddha Purusha. By nature, everyone is a Siddha Purusha. Swamiji, I want to do a darshanam of a Siddha Purusha. I want to come to Himalayas. I would like to see some Siddha Purusha. You are Siddha Purusha. You are not a sadhaka. You are not a sadhaka, frankly speaking. A sadhaka is a one who has a means, sadhanam, in order to gain sadhyam. And Krutyam Krutam. Well, I have employed all the sadhanas. Whatever is to be accomplished, I have accomplished. It is to be is accomplished, and therefore, once this is what my nature is. Nitya Siddha we call also. Atma is Nitya Siddha, etc. Anyway, so this is called, and this I am Siddha will bring a trupti, satisfaction. So he tushyati, he enjoys, revels. Naivatasya krutenarthaha nakruteneha kasyana nachasya sarvabhuteshu kashidartha vyapashraya. Bhagavan said in 3rd chapter. Naivatasya krutenarthaha. Something is to be done. He doesn't have that agenda. Na kriteneha kashana. Oh, this is not done, I have to do, or this is left over, etc. This is done, etc. Nothing. So, this is a seventh step. So he says here, Krutam Krityam Prapanyam Praptam Ityeva Tushyati. So this is how. So a sixth step has been told in the first line. Shoka Jatam Pramunchati. Shoka Apagamaha. And the seventh step is Hrishyati Truptihi. Satisfaction. So a little change. In a 10th man example, first he talked about this Hrishyati and etc. and then Shokapagamaha later. Here he says Shokapagamaha has a sixth step and Trupti etc. is a seventh step. Same thing. Order is just reverse. Either way it is okay. Because our moksha we always do says like, we says like in this manner. Well, we say it as a Atyantika Dukha Nivrutti and Sukhavapti, right? Nitya Sukhavapti, etc. So Sukhavapti is this Hrishyati Trupti and Atyantika Dukha Nivrutti means Shokapagamaha. So verse 33, let's see that. Ajnanamavritistadvat vikshepascha parokshadih aparokshamatishshoka mokshastruptir nirankusha. So in this manner, 7 stages are mentioned for Dashamaha earlier, and here in verse 28 we saw. In verse 33, 7 stages for the Jiva has been mentioned. So verse 28 and 33 are almost repetition. So here also now he says Ajnanam, ignorance, Avritihi, express ignorance, Vikshepaha, false perception, then Parokshatihi and Parokshadihi, Parokshajnanam, Aparokshamatihi, Aparokshajnanam, Shokamokshaha, Shokamoksha, Shokasya mokshaha, moksha, freedom from Shoka. So, Shokasya Nivrutti you can take. Here moksha word means Nivrutti. So, he is renunciation of the sorrow, etc. And Nirankusha Truptihi, Nirankusha, unrestricted, unlimited satisfaction. Why does he say? Because we do have experience of a limited satisfaction. So, some education, you wanted a PhD award, etc. and you got it. You got a good job. So, you got satisfaction. You got a good companion, etc. in marriage, etc. So, you have a trupti. But that is limited, etc. So, all these have a ankusha. Ankusha means basically, ankusha means elephant's rod, which the person use, who sits on that, the elephant. So, and he uses that particular instrument, that rod, to restrict the movement of elephant. So, here it is, we can take it that way. So, Nirankusha Truptihi means, there is no restraining factor in his satisfaction. And the last verse we'll just see. Saptavastha ima santi chidabhasasya tasvimau bandhamokshau sthitau tatra tisro bandhakrita smritaha. So in this manner, chidabhasasya imaha sapta avasthaha santi. These 7 avasthas, chidabhasasya jivasya, these 7 avasthas belong to this chidabhasa or a jiva. Jiva is a mixture actually of all the 3. So, Chidabha and that Chidabhasa is a Karta, Bhokta, etc. Tasu. So, even though they say Chidabhasa, but we should take it a mixture. We know, now we have discussed also. Chidabhasa cannot be possible unless a medium is there. And Chidabhasa cannot be possible unless the consciousness is there. And therefore, we have to take it as a mixture only. Anyway, so that Chidabhasa is a Karta, Bhokta. Tasu. Tasu means Tasu avasthasu. In these 7 avasthas, Imau bandha mokshau sthitau. Bondage and moksha, bandha and moksha are both spread over these 7 avasthas only. So, of these 7 avasthas, bandha is spread in the first 3 stages and moksha is spread over last 4 stages. That's what he says. Tatra, tisraha, bandha kritaha smritaha. Tatra means among these 7 avasthas, Tisra, first three avasthas. Tisra is a basically a feminine noun, so it indicating avastha. That's also feminine. So tasraha means the first three states are bandha kritaha. They are associated with the bandha, or they are the causes of bandha, right? And on what are the three stages? Ajnanam, avaranam, and vikshepa. They cause the bondage. And well, the last four, parokshajnanam, aparokshajnanam, shokapagama, etc., and this tushyati, trupti, etc., all are related to moksha. So this is how it has been divided. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.